Coming back to the show. We got another new live stream. This, of course, is the weekly Breakfast of Champions. I'm so glad you made it. So glad that you are continuously making it for the repeat visitors that are coming back every week to support the channel. I appreciate you. I know there's a lot of value that I want to bring today's episode because we're going to talk about the little mini refi boom that we're in, and I'm going to show you a couple ways on how to take advantage of that. So as we wait for everybody, I'm going to do the normal intermission video so you guys don't have to wait in silence. But again, I appreciate all the support. Again, do me one solid, comment in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, or even if you're on Instagram. Be sure to comment just the 2 letters of the state that you're checking in from. I know it's asking a lot, but that generally does give the channel a lot of support because of the engagement. And when YouTube and Facebook sees that, they put it on other people's feed. So it allows the community to grow. And of course, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So I appreciate you guys for coming today. I got an amazing show for you guys. So be sure you guys stick around. We're going to start in just a few minutes. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast of Champions. For those of you who don't know, this is your first time. I appreciate your support. This happens weekly, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I appreciate the return visitors and the supporters of the channel. Today, the name of the live stream is how to maximize your profit in this mini refi boom that we're currently going through right now. And what my intention is and my goal is to help you really pick up some business during this window of opportunity, because no one really knows how long this will last, right? And these little episodes, these little windows of opportunity, like the one we're facing in right now, where the market's dipped, the bond has really kind of dwindled down. It's gone down in comparison to where it was this time last year. And I believe those who are actually positioned properly are going to maximize their profit. They're really going to ramp up and generate as much income. Now, the rumors are is that there's no real intention to raise the interest rates anytime soon, or for at least the remainder of 2019. But again, you never know if that's true or not, right? So some things can change next week, or some things can change in a month from now. And my goal is not to only help you adopt some of the concepts I'm going to share with you to pick up your business, but also look at it in a way where your mindset is strong, so you're going in with enough momentum to really capitalize on this opportunity. Regardless if you're brand new, if you're intermediate, or if you're seasoned, you're definitely going to come across some content that's generally going to help you. So I appreciate everybody that's commenting in the comment box, as well as those on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Please, throughout the live stream, hit up a comment, just like whether you agree with it or not, good or bad. Let me know, because I see you. West Palm Beach is in the house. Florida, we got Tustin in the house. Like in the sound check. Do you appreciate that, Manny? And of course, we got IG on the feed. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. First off, let's realize exactly where we find ourselves, right? So beyond the market and beyond kind of the change in the industry climate, right? Because the rates have gone up and the rates have gone down. One thing is true is that as salesmen, especially as a mortgage loan officer, each and every single day, we face this challenge of trying to deliver the lowest rate and the lowest price, right? And sometimes that's what helps us stand apart from our competition. And so what do we do now, right? Like the market has dipped, and now what we can give today, it wasn't available literally for the last 12 months. And so we've somewhat become conditioned to really kind of be fearful with price. But the interesting thing is, though, is that so has our consumers. And one major tip that I can give you right now is, by understanding the last thing you want to do is start calling people and letting them know, hey, the market rate has dropped. Are you still in the market? Are you still interested to do a refinance? Or, hey, let's revisit the application that we did maybe 3 months ago or 6 months ago because the market rate has dropped. The reason why you don't want to do that is because you generalize the information. You make it so that if the market has dropped for us, it's literally dropped for everyone, right? And that's the last thing you want to do, because you're giving them the notion that, okay, well, if it's dropped for you, what did it do for Loan Depot? What did it do for Quicken? What did it do for these other companies? Whoever your competitor is. And so I would say to be covert is very, very important, to be subliminal with the value given, meaning that you have a choice. Now, the traditional method, the mediocre method is just going to leverage off price, because naturally we're human. So we get excited. And sometimes that could be the specific reason as to why we're revisiting the prospects that we weren't able to turn into a sale, is just that notion, is just the idea of saying, hey, the market rate has dropped. I know that you were looking for the lowest rate. And I want to tell you why that's not effective, is because number one is, the consumers in themselves, as you'll find in some of the veterans watching this, you'll already know that it takes a little bit of time for them to catch up to speed, right? Unless they're like following the market, and that's far and few in between. But unless they're really following the market, they're not going to necessarily know that the rates have dropped. So what if you went in a little bit more covertly, and you actually, created a reason as to, well, let me go ahead and update this for you, because maybe we have a campaign that's within your area. So whether you're in Florida, you're Arizona, you're in Oregon, or like myself, you're in California, we can come in with a little bit more kind of a covert approach and be like, hey, Jim, your file came by my desk the other day, and we're doing a huge campaign within your county, and I wanted to ensure that you're kept up to speed with the new developments that are rolling out for the next quarter of 2019. And so what I'm going to do, Jim, is I'm going to go ahead and send you that quick update. It's going to go to your iCloud account. Just whether or not you decide to use it, it's completely up to you. Feel free just to please reply back. Let me know you got it, so I know that you're, kept ahead of the curve by having the right information. And so you'll notice that approach is it's non-confrontational, but more importantly, it's like an update, and it's sparking their curiosity, because you're letting them know that there's been some new developments, right? and somewhat isolating it to you and your company, your brand, because you're saying we're doing a campaign. And so when you say we're doing a campaign, it's much like kind of like a vendor giving a discount, right? Like you got specials that happen. Maybe you find them on Groupon, or maybe there's your favorite department store that says, hey, we got the special going on. And that isolates it to them. But imagine if all these department stores or these retail stores kind of had to follow the market like us. And we, you know, let's say we like to go to Nordstrom, right? And so if Nordstrom, Macy's, all these department stores had to follow a specific policy where if the market changed, then all their clothes are 30% off, then, well, we have a choice as consumers, right? I don't necessarily need to go to Nordstrom. I can go to Bloomingdale's now. I can go to all these other retail shops and get the same exact discount and treatment, and it's going to be based on my preference of brand. Well, if you isolate that focus and you actually don't give out the information as to, hey, the market rate has dropped, let's go and see what we could do for you, that consumer is effectively going to say, okay, well, if it's dropped for you, it's dropped for everyone. So let me go and see what this other loan officer did because I really liked him, or he was more personable to me. And another thing that I want to share with you guys is that because it does take some time for consumers to kind of adapt and kind of get up to the same page, it's important to understand human nature. Human nature, we as humans, we are addicted to kind of the same habits and the same process, right? We are creatures of habit, I believe is the saying. And so, for example, like us, everyone that's watching, we have a specific mode or kind of sequence of events that we follow. Like from this morning, there's a sequence of events that you normally follow. There's a preferred reaction to specific things. Whether it's like music genre or TV shows, there's just things that you don't, you know what I mean? Like you've kind of trained your mind and conditioned yourself to veer away from. And so we have to understand that, and why it's important is because our consumers operate the same exact way. And so if you think about it, for the last 12 plus months, they've been conditioned to turn down loan officers. They've been conditioned to understand that the rates are higher than what it has been for the last, 4 or 5 years, right? And so we have to understand this, because without that empathy, we're going to go in and believe that friction is going to be because of us. And I think there's nothing more important in sales than to actually have empathy and understand how it is from their point of view. Not only that, but when you put out or put together the proposal or the you know, kind of like that sales pitch, it's super important to understand how they're going to see it. Now, there's this real great sales hack that I learned a long time ago from a mentor. And has a lot. It's called pre-framing. It has a lot to do with kind of the way you pre-frame things. And for those of you who've been following the channel and understand the concept that I share here at Sales Remastered, a lot of it has to do with pre-framing. So let me give you an example. You know, I got a trip coming up where I'm going to Las Vegas for you know, for like a week, right? And it's going to be studying the kind of just the world of mortgage and kind of the evolution and what's to come from the leaders within the industry. Well, mind you, I'm married. I got kids. You know what I mean? Like for those of you married, got kids. If you told your wife that you're going to go to Vegas for like a week, she'd be like, "What, fool?" So I'm no different, right? But there's a way to pre-frame it, and so instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna go to Vegas for a week, right? Like, cause you have to, like, don't, you know, you're not weak if you have to share with your spouse that you're gonna be taking a trip. You'd be like, yeah, but D, you make the money in the household, you should be doing it. Nah, bro, happy wife, happy home, right? So you gotta communicate like no other. And so, you know, I knew right from the bat there would be some sort of resistance, because I'm gonna tell my wife I'm gonna go to Vegas for like a week, and immediately she thinks I'm gonna stop by every single strip club within the city, right? And I'm gonna hook up with every drug dealer or some shit. But anyway, there's a way to pre-frame it, and so that example, the way to pre-frame it is to actually open up and condition her mind in a way where she doesn't understand it as, oh man, my husband's gonna spend a week in Las Vegas, a town full of hookers, blow, and gambling, and just a sin city, right? And so there's a way to pre-frame that. So you could use the example in something that you do. Like, let's say if you're gonna be asking for a vacation from your manager, you know you're gonna get resistance, right? But if you open it in a way where you first pre-frame their mind to be more receptive of the actual true value, then there's gonna be a little bit less resistance. And the reason why I'm using this example is because subconsciously subconsciously, some of us do this naturally, and this is why we're good salesmen. But the thing is that we have to learn how to apply that into our sales role, our sales position, right? So for example, if we go into a sales pitch and we start off with rate, right, lender credits and cost, we haven't effectively pre-framed them yet. And so whether the market is good or whether it's bad, this is something you need to adopt most importantly today. Because again, us as humans, we are conditioned, we are creatures of habit where consumers, whether they like it or not, we even as consumers, we are conditioned to expect a price that we have to fight, right? A price that we have to compare. And this is why a lot of your consumers may be going ghost, or they may be comparing you. There's no actual genuine loyalty. And so a perfect pre-frame that you could start adopting now is going to not only help you increase sales regardless of where the market is, but more so because the market is where you want it to be. And the consumers are not necessarily expecting you to spit out the pricing that you are going to spit out, because they've probably been conditioned for the last 12 months to hear rates that are like in the fives, right? Well, no more. Like you could literally get a conventional loan in the high threes now, right? Depending on how you structure the loan, depending on the hits, of course. But at the end of the day, regardless of what the price is, don't focus solely on the price. The objective at hand, and will always be at hand, is how can you communicate in a way where your services are going to positively impact their day-to-day? Because the only reason why we do certain things is because we win, right? Like, what's in it for me? There's that abbreviation. And everyone believes that. You don't have to be selfish. It's just everyone, their motive is going to be, well, what do I get out of it? And so pre-framing is very, very effective to surpass. Like, I've shared a lot of times in the live streams as well as my content, whether the market is good or the market is bad. There are a lot of times I made sales where the rate was never brought up. The fees are never even objected to. As a matter of fact, typically after a sale, like that's the last thing I have to cover, because I have to do a recorded lock script, right? And so that's actually the first time it's brought up. But the funny thing is that when I bring it up, there's no hesitation to it. There might be, like, some of them might be like, oh, 5.875. I wasn't expecting that, D, but I guess, right? Like, they'll accept it. The loyalty is strong and they won't shop me. They'll stay with me because I was able to pre-frame it correctly. So now that the market is good, again, it's going to be hard because it's going to be very tempting to talk about the market, rate dropping. And it's not your fault, because usually us as salesmen, it's our job to communicate and update and give as much information as possible, right? But if we can kind of switch our view on that and really look at it as we need to focus on how the information we're going to present to them is going to be their bridge to get to where they want to go. And where they want to go is not necessarily the free loan, right? That's just what they're trained to say. Where they want to go is not necessarily the 2.75% interest rate. That's us. That's our mindset talking. I shared an email with my team, and I let them know about a few things that we need to be really grateful for, really look at and kind of hone in, because the market is where it's at, right? And so we have this divine opportunity where we can take a lot of our past clients and convert them again into a new sale. Because this time last year, we're flipping loans in the fives. I have a ton of loans in the fives, and I've ramped up my business because now I can bring them down into the mid fours. That's huge, right? But we have to go in where we're not necessarily, hey, the market rates drop, let me go drop your rate, because that's not necessarily the focus. And if you guys can hear that, I don't live in Watts, the sirens, I just got the door open in the studio. But where I'm getting at though is that there are a few things that you really need to be grateful for and really look at the silver lining. But I shared a message with my team yesterday and said, hey, did you know it's possible to get a 30-year fix again at 3.99%? But unfortunately, there are going to be some of us who will still look for that 3.875 or that 3.75. It's just human nature, So if you price your loans with your manager, if you price your loans with somebody to get an exception, it's natural for us to kind of just want to go to the bare minimum sometimes, right? And it's okay if you feel that way. I get it. I'm a salesman too. And sometimes if we go to the rock bottom pricing, we have this notion or this understanding that it's just going to be an easier sale. So if I can attract them with the rock bottom pricing, then more likely they're going to say yes. More likely they're going to agree. They're going to send their documents. They're going to give me their urgency. They're going to comply and do whatever I need them to do so they could sit tight in the pipeline for 30, 45 days until they sign. And so that's kind of what we perceive. But I got to tell you from experience, it's not necessarily like that. So when you look at the market right now, you can kind of switch your focus and see it in a different way. You see it as, wow, now I could save the Joneses even more money. Or now I can help Jim, who didn't want to take that 5.75, and now I can show him more savings, more opportunity, more growth, right? Because it's all about Jim, or it's all about the Joneses. It's not necessarily all about us. And for those of us who are pricing deals right now, or going into the day and saying, hey, I got lowest rates, I can get that 3.99 that you were hoping for, I can get that 3.5 for 3 points. I can do it now. All you're really focused on is you. And that's actually a negative pre-frame. I think that you have two options as a salesman and as a loan officer in today's market. You can pre-frame your engagement to be strictly on price, and that's going to foster a comparison attitude. It's going to foster the lowest rate, lowest cost type of perception. Or you could pre-frame it as to, hey, this is the absolute best solution that you could find right now that's going to fix A, B, and C and help you achieve X, Y, and Z. And I know this is going to work because like you can have a lot of stories or cases where it's worked in the past for your clients. So it's one thing that you really want to adopt and understand with the pre-frame. But another helpful hack that I want to share with you guys is the rewrites. You might call it retreads. My company, we call them redos. You can even look at it as recaptures. Recaptures are basically consumers who've done business with your company in the past. Maybe they worked with a loan officer who no longer works for your company. And we have to identify that opportunity because those individuals who closed with your company, whether with you or with that departed agent last year, bought into a much higher interest rate than what's available today. And so if we effectively use the right scripts and templates, like the scripts and templates module that's available, there's a link below, it will help automate your system, because besides having the right approach and having the right target of leads, you need to understand how to automate things so that you can multitask and absorb more. So before I get into that time management and automation, let me go and share with you why it's important to look at your book of business. Your book of business right now consists of loans, whether it's FHA, VA, or even conventional, that if you look at what you did just even 6 months ago, right? Or even 12 months ago, you're going to find that pricing was much, much higher than what is available today. And so if you can go into it and not in a way and say, hey, the market rates drop, let's see if we can lower your rate. Don't do that, because you're pre-framing them incorrectly, where they're just going to be whether or not it's worth their time, right? Like 5.25 to 4.99, right? And then because they're basing it on whether or not it's worth their time, and they're going through the experience. Maybe they had a boo-boo process, or maybe they had a bad experience with the appraiser. And so it's kind of the way that they filter the information is going to be what's in it for them, right? And so, but however, if we pre-frame it in a way where it's already in motion, and this is just something that's supposed to happen, like, hey, Jim, just doing a quick courtesy check-in, we have a scheduled check-in today. And as promised, when we funded your loan 6 months ago, I would be doing these check-ins to ensure that you're kept ahead of the curve. Fortunately, your time has come because there's been some new developments and campaigns that have been launched within your area. And I want to ensure that you have this information, Jim. So I'm going to go and send it over to your email. Is this email still valid? And when Jim says yes, then you say, okay, great. Let me go ahead and update it real quick. Let me confirm, has there been any changes with income, employment, marital status, title? Did you get any solar liens or what have you? And when they say no, everything's the same, say, okay, great. I'm going to go and put it out together. I'm going to reference all the information I already have in our system. And again, this is your client or some departed agent's client, and say the only thing I need to do is update a copy of the credit report. And again, what they're going to say is that, yeah, go ahead and update a copy of the credit report, but that resistance is gone. It's the perfect funnel of how to pick up an extra 3 to 4 deals a month. Man, I'm using this exact same cycle, and it's picking me up at least 3 a week. Right. And that's how automated it is. For those of you who know, I manage a team, and, I'm not only managing my pipeline, I'm managing all the fires, a lot of customer service calls, restructures, repricing, pricing. There's a lot that goes on the table, manager meetings, training, right? And so there's just a lot. But these scripts that I give out within the scripts and templates module, if you want a link to that, again, hit me up directly or send me over a copy of that DM. But everyone who's actually, picked up the scripts and templates module shares with me. I share them on Instagram. I share the reviews on Facebook. They work, and it's so effective because it's almost unreal. Like, to the point where you're like, dude, that was too easy, right? But the awesome thing is, though, is because it's so easy, you can duplicate it. But you're only going to be able to duplicate it if you have effective time management. And I think that a lot of loan officers, unfortunately, have this real hard challenge with managing their time. And so it becomes very difficult for them to multitask. The top producers on your floor and industry have the ability to do a lot of things at once. And so, like, for example, the scripts and templates, to me, they're just drop downs on my signature. So it's very automated. It doesn't take any time. I already did it correctly one time. So I'm just going to duplicate the process. But how do you do so many things, right? Like, you probably have 2 or 3 screens at your desk, and there's just so many different distractions, so many different alerts. It's kind of like we're consumers, right? We're like, we're constantly processing what's important, what's not important. And when we come into a busy day and we're managing our pipeline and we're getting, real close to month end, for example, our focus a lot of times is making sure that every loan goes through, because sometimes we've already accounted for the money, or we've already done the math and we see the potential commission. And so it's very important to babysit every loan. And then we start stalking operations, don't we? Because we get super impatient. We get kind of paranoid, like, oh man, I'm not going to hit that 15. Maybe you got a tier bonus that hits in. And so it's very hard to kind of confidently let that side go. But the absolute best thing you can do is to really let go, do the absolute best that you can do, and have complete faith in operations that they're going to do what they're going to do. The whole problem with being 1 short or 2 short of a tier is not necessarily that LP, which loan processor, is not necessarily operations. It's because the system in itself slowed down at some point within a part of the month that only that amount went through. But if you can effectively create an engine that is automated, you'll consistently feed that engine, right, that process or that pipeline, so that you're always at a buffer, you're always ahead. And, one of the things because I just came back from a president's council, so I was surrounded by the top performers of my company. And one of the most enlightening things that I heard from one of the top producers was actually when we were waiting for our flight back, because we had to sit at the airport for like a good hour and a half. And one thing that loan officer said, this is the top loan officer in the entire company. His name's Kevin Garcia. And he told me, he's all, AD, I don't really care about the awards. I don't care about the tiers, bro. I just want to make sure that there's a good paycheck. Like everything else just comes by default. Everything else just comes, right? But the main focus is how much value and how much service can I give each and every single day. And he's true. Like, this is the dude that got like 1,100 unread emails, right? It irks the shit out of me. But at the end of the day, he's just built that way. So he has enough kind of faith in the process, in the engine, where he constantly feeds. And that's how he's able to do so much within a given month. So if there's anything that we can really adopt from the top producers, it's having the ability to properly manage your time. And the best way to manage your time is to really be self-aware of what you're doing with your time to begin with. So for example, if you get in at 8, but like you're kind of just shooting the shit until like 10. So you're just checking emails, you're conversing, you're going to get coffee, you're having your 3rd smoke break. Hey, that's on you. But at the end of the day, you can't be puzzled as to like, where'd the time go? The time went on that damn MSN news page, boo-boo, reading about fucking whatever, news that's irrelevant to your pipeline in your business. And we're all guilty of it sometimes, So, but at the end of the day, if we understood the kind of just the timeline that we're in our seat every single day, whether it's from 8 to 6 or 8 to 7 or even 8 to 8, we have to really break down that time and understand what we're doing with every single block. I'm not saying, keep your head down, don't talk to nobody, but if you do, I guarantee you'll get paid. But what I'm getting at is understand what you're doing at specific blocks. And so a lot, what I notice is very common is the first couple hours is just maintenance, right? It's following up on emails. It's checking in on files with processors. It's going to have a smoke break or going to lounge inside the kitchen, right? It's because mentally we're trying to get warmed up. But a morning routine comes in very effectively when in these cases, because you've already given yourself the first couple hours of the day to mentally warm up. And so if you get in at 8 or even if you get in at 9, you're so primed where you have enough momentum because you've been up for a good couple hours focusing on yourself, putting out the fires, kind of organizing your day, that you are more efficient and effective for the rest of the day. Let me give you an example. So if you just barely, let's say you check in at 8, and this is time management to the absolute T, right? If you get in at 8, but you wake up at 7 and you're in a rush to get into work and now comes 8, you haven't given yourself ample time to actually get mentally primed. And the only way you can get mentally primed is if you have good time management. Why you want to be mentally primed is because the mentally primed individuals are going to be the ones who have the absolute most actions every single day. You're going to be mentally strong so you're not getting burnt out on that third or fourth no. You're going to be positioned to get the most out of your day so that you can build the strongest month, and you're not sweating whether or not you're a unit or 2 units from your goal. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense, guys, man? This is fire, bro. Please comment in the comment box. Let me know if you guys agree with this. Let me know if you guys are following any of these actions, because what you're going to find is these little details is what makes you a top producer. It's not the market, it's not the price, right? But if you can put into place these actions, this will enable you to do far more every single day. And why you want to do far more is because, again, the title of the whole live stream is how to maximize profit within this mini boom. Here's the upside, is if you can adopt some of these actions and create your system, automate your sales cycle, and manage your time to be more effective, you're going to outproduce everyone on your team. That's just a given. Like my man said at the President's Council meeting, he's all, bro, I'm not worried about the awards. I'm not worried about the accolades. I'm not worried about hitting 15, 17, 18 units. I just want to make a good paycheck. And the only way to do that is to do the absolute most every single day. Right? And this is a workhorse. This guy's on the phone all day. But what I'm getting at is, in order to really be effective within your day, you have to do multiple actions. You have to be organized. You have to be very time effective. And I would say one huge step in that direction is waking up early, man. You got to wake up early, not necessarily jump into work. I'm talking about get your mind right. Like go exercise, meditate, detach some from your business and from your grind. Don't sweat the fires you got going on coming into work. However, when you get mentally primed, the very first thing you do when you get into the office is actually square out all the things you don't want to do. That's the absolute best thing to do, is to do the things you don't want to do in the very first part of your day. Why that's effective is because when you release that weight off your shoulders and you mentally free yourself to just focus solely on originating new business, that is what's going to give you the confidence you need come 2-3 o'clock when you start to mentally check out, right? Because at times when we go through our day and we kind of get that caffeine crash, right? Like that sugar crash, like what's stronger than caffeine, what's stronger than, like a Red Bull drink, is knowing that you've got 3 sold for the day and you're hitting 5, which is the last piece of advice I want to share with you guys before I end this live stream. And again, I hope you guys are really taking a lot of value away from this. I want you to understand that because we're in a refi boom, now's your opportunity to challenge yourself. So if you're going in with a goal for the month, challenge yourself to break that down to a day. Challenge yourself to say, hey, I want to do 20 in the next 30 days. Well, identify that you have 20 work days. So that means you need to sell at least one per day. But because we're in a refi boom, I invite you to challenge yourself to hold yourself accountable to 2. The pros and the real go-getters are going to challenge themselves to 4. Why? Is because they know that it's an opportunity. And when you break down your actual goal and you hold yourself accountable on a daily regimen, a daily schedule, and you adopt the philosophy of not bringing in your losses or your wins in with you the next day, every single day it starts over. But it all starts with that goal that you have in mind at the very beginning of the day. You see, a lot of us kind of set our goals for the month. And so we'll kind of burn the first 10 days. And then depending on how far we are from our goal, then we'll start picking it up. But if you break it down per day and you hold yourself accountable to a number per day, whether it's 2 or 4, you're going to understand that you have X amount of hours to hit that 2 or hit that 4. And when I'm talking about 2 or 4, I'm talking about sales and elevations, baby. Locks and submissions. Those are the only things that count. I'm not talking about applications. But if you find out through your KPIs that you need to do 5 applications to get 1 lock, it means you're at a 20% close ratio. So what does that mean in order to get 2 sales? You gotta master how to get 10. Do you want to know how to do 10 applications? You might be like, but D, every single application I do is like 2 hours long. How do I do it? Well, step number 1, don't do it for 2 hours. You have to be more effective. So have a solid script like the one I share with you at salesremastered.com. If you haven't picked it up, you're going to want to get that script. And the reason why it's so powerful is because it dismantles the guard right up front so you can be more effective with your time. You can completely extract whether or not this person has the need. Because if they don't have the need, they're not going to be willing to give you more attention. They're not going to be willing to take action. So you have to identify the need. And if they have the need, then go ahead and start qualifying, right? But you don't do it like an interrogator. You have to do it subliminally, covertly through a conversation to figure out whether or not they qualify. How do you qualify? Of course, you got to have the credit. You got to have the income. You got to have, proper title, no clouds, no solar liens, and you got to have the capacity, right? So those are the 4 pillars of making a loan. But a lot of times we kind of go in it and there's no actual real structure. There's no real goal. There's no real accountability in our day to hold ourselves accountable to scoring 2 points a day. My entire team holds themselves accountable to a minimum of 2 points per day. And that's why we're leading the pack. That's why we have so much of a huge production every single day. This is why we're able to kind of enjoy and keep that competitive camaraderie, right? But for all the refi agents out there, man, I know it's been your time in waiting. And I know sometimes we feel like we get neglected because maybe there's a purchase division that's inside your company. Or maybe there's this purchase, team that's been getting all the shine lately. Well, now's your time to shine. Now's your time to blow up. Whether you lost resources or whether you felt like you were kind of neglected, now's your time to put a check on everyone who kind of put their focus on that purchase side and say, hey, we were the pioneers. This is because of us, boo-boo, you're here. So at the end of the day, the opportunity is yours. How you go into your day is going to really determine how you are going to go throughout your month. And if you can set yourself apart by positioning yourself properly, adopting some of the actions that I shared with you here in this live stream, not only are you going to pick up your income, not only going to pick up your numbers, not only going to get the acknowledgement you deserve, but like my man said at the President's Council, those are just byproducts. That just comes. The acknowledgement, the tears, the trophies, the awards, the shout outs, that just happens. It all starts with your actions and your work ethic and the way you look at it. So I hope this live stream has helped you look at it in a different way. I appreciate every single one of you who made it to the live stream. A lot of the words that I'm saying, they ring true, and it's true because I'm in the trenches with you. I'm not some dude just telling you something that I read in a book, and I hope you can appreciate that. Man, share this video with someone who didn't get a chance to see it. Share it even with the purchase agents so they understand that we're on the comeback. Rub it in their face. No, but if you're a purchase agent, man, you guys got a lot of business to pick up too. You guys have a lot of book of business that you guys help homeowners purchase homes, a year ago. Even the refi agents, if you did purchase loans about a year ago that were on FHA, now's the time to give them a call back. Because guess what? Now we could do a conventional values, raise it up a little bit, LPMI, build that bitch in, and effectively the combined rate of their FHA. Last year they were like 4.75, some even at 5.25. Well, when you add that MI, they're actually in the high 5s, even in the 6s. And so now if you could step in with LPMI on a conventional, can't you put them at 5.25 and still save them a great deal of value? you can, right? And more importantly, because they helped you or you helped them get into the loan, they're more likely to work with you again to get out of that loan and into a better loan. And it just becomes this cycle, this engine. So I hope I opened up your eyes to some new business today. Salute to every single one of you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing day, a strong day. Don't forget to check out the scripts and templates module. I'll be sure to leave a link below if you want to work with me directly. Of course, I got the Sales Boost Camp. Again, there's a link below this video, or you can go to salesremaster.com. Look at the Sales Boost Camp. It's a 6-week training course. It's not like it's going to eat up a lot of your time. You don't have to complete it in 6 weeks. You can do that bitch in like 12 months. But you get to work with me directly. You get unreleased exclusive content you can't find anywhere on the channels, all within the modules within that course. And of course, we get to work together where we focus just solely on your platform, on your challenges, on your goals. And I give you the exact roadmap of how to do just that. So I appreciate all you guys' time. Please continue to support the channel. Please comment in the comment box. Let me know what your favorite takeaway was. Let me know that this was fire. And I'll see you guys on the next one.